So in this video, I'm going to go through how to target federal employees so that you can generate more TSP leads, sales appointments, and clients predictably in your business. And I'm going to show you how you can do this without going to any networking events, relying on seminars, doing any cold calling, cold emailing, or relying on referrals. So to get started, there are two main ways that you can generate TSP leads and target federal employees. The first way is the fastest way, and that is by using paid advertising. And specifically, I recommend using meta ads. Now, the reason I recommend using meta ads is because we've found specifically when it comes to targeting federal employees, the algorithm on meta ads is the most powerful one to get you and your ads in front of the right people, because at the end of the day, when you run ads, you want to be showing it to people that are your ideal clients rather than showing it to just everyone if you have a specific niche such as federal employees. Now, when it comes to running meta ads, in order to actually have success with meta ads, there's a few important things that you must do. So if you've tried meta ads in the past and it hasn't worked, have a look and see if you've done any of the things that I'm about to show you, because if you haven't, that's probably the reason why it hasn't worked in the past. So let me start by going through the first thing that you need to do. And this is probably the most important thing that you must do when it comes to generating TSP leads and targeting federal employees. And that is to call out your ideal client in the first 3 to 10 seconds of the ad. So if you have a video ad, you want to do it in the first 3 to 10 seconds. And if you have an image ad, then you want to do this right at the beginning in the ad text before anyone has to scroll down. The reason you want to be very clear about who this ad is specifically for is because you want to leverage the Facebook algorithm to show the ad to the right people. So what happens is if you target federal employees and you actually call them out in the first 3 to 10 seconds of the ad, people who are federal employees are going to look at the ad, click, and then likely convert. And those who are not federal employees are going to skip the ad and keep scrolling. And this is what Facebook uses in its algorithm to determine who is the right fit for you and your business. So that's why it's so important you do this in the first 3 to 10 seconds of the ad or in the beginning of the ad. So you could say, for example, are you a federal employee? Now, if you're targeting federal employees over the age of, let's say, 55, again, you want to call that out or say that inside of the ad in the beginning. So you want to say, are you a federal employee over the age of 55? Now, if you want to be even more specific, and let's say you want to target people and pre-qualify them and make sure that they have a certain amount of assets, again, you can do all of this by calling them out inside of the beginning of the ad. Now, that's the first thing that you need to do in order to leverage the algorithm and show the ad to the right people. Now, the second thing that you can do, and this is more of a bonus thing that you can do, you don't always have to do this, but it can sometimes help, and that is to pre-qualify leads even more. So let's just say someone sees the ad, but for whatever reason, maybe they're not the right fit, but they do still look at the ad and then they click on the page and they want to learn a little bit more about what this is about, so that we can train the algorithm and make sure people that are just curious don't go into the funnel, and we don't tell Facebook, hey, this is a good lead, even though this person is just curious. We can pre-qualify them even further by adding what's called a pre-qualification lead on the opt-in page of your sales funnel. Now, if you don't know how to do that or what that is or what that looks like, don't worry, I'm going to go through all of that in just a second. But for now, I just want you to keep in mind that you can pre-qualify leads even further before you generate a lead. And I usually recommend doing this if you find that you're generating leads with people that are not a good fit. You can just add more filters and pre-qualify them even more. And then once you do these things, once you actually have the right ad which calls out the right person at the right time, and you pre-qualify them to make sure that they're a good fit, if you send them to a sales funnel, and again, I'm going to show you exactly how this sales funnel works and how it all looks in just a second, but if you send them to a sales funnel that is designed specifically to get sales appointments, you'll be able to get appointments on demand. Now, what this means is you can get as many appointments as you want every single month just by increasing or decreasing your advertising budget with Meta. So with Meta, and by the way, just to clarify, with Meta, I'm talking about both Facebook and Instagram ads, since it's both owned by the same company. But essentially, once you have a converting funnel and your ads are working, you can generate leads on demand. So let me just give you an example of how this would work. So if you go to our website and go to skylinesocial.com/ROI, you can see a potential return on investment calculator to give you a rough idea of how much revenue you could potentially generate by running ads in your business. So let's just go through and enter some numbers here just to give you, again, a rough estimate. And of course, as a disclaimer, these numbers are for illustrative purposes only, and results obviously vary on lots of different variables, such as your ad performance, your sales performance, and other variables. But it's just designed to give you a rough idea of what you could expect based on the data that we've seen with other clients that we also work with. So let's just say, for example, you're going to be spending $3,000 a month. With $3,000 a month, assuming you get a cost per appointment between $200 to $300, and in this case, we're going to estimate the cost per appointment is more on the high end, which is $300 per appointment, you'd be able to get 10 appointments. Now, if you can close 25% of those appointments, so in other words, 2.5, or let's just say, again, 2 clients from those 10 appointments, you'd be able to generate, if your average revenue from a new client is about $5,000, you'd be able to generate $10,000 in revenue. So in other words, that means you're paying $3,000 on ads to get $10,000 back in revenue. Now, not all of that will be profit. You'd have to calculate how much of that is profit for you and your business. But the point is, in most cases, it's going to be profitable for most types of businesses when you run ads in this way. So this is why this is so powerful, because once you know what your cost per appointment is, once you know what your cost per lead is, and all of those numbers you can get when you start running ads, you can decide how many appointments you want each month. So let's just say, the first month you get 10 appointments and you get 2 clients and you're happy with that. You can reinvest some of that money, and maybe the next month you want to double that and you spend $6,000 in the next month. And then that means you'll get 21 appointments and then 5 clients, and then you'll make $25,000 in revenue, and so on. And you can pretty much scale it up as much as you like, all depending on how much availability you have, because there does reach a point, and I've experienced this in my own business, where there's only so much time you have in the day and in the week and in the month in order to take appointments, especially when you're helping your clients as well. But that's the beautiful thing about this. Once you're in that position, you can decide to either get additional people to help you with the calls, or you can also just scale down or scale up, just depending on how busy you want to be. So that's the beautiful thing about running ads. And if you want help with doing this, this is exactly what we do for our clients every single day. So if you'd like to learn more about how this strategy works and how we can actually help you, just click the link in the description of this video to watch my free masterclass training. And if you like what you hear on that video, at the bottom of that video, you'll be able to schedule a call in our calendar to learn more about how we can implement this exact system for you and your business if you don't want to do it yourself. Now, with that in mind, running ads is just one of the ways that you can generate appointments. As you can see, you can also boost your results with weekly YouTube videos. Now, before I show you what kind of results you can potentially expect to get if you also include YouTube videos, which in other words is just creating content, let me go through some of the advantages and how you can actually do this, how you can create this content in the right way. So this brings me on to the next part of the presentation, which is to create content. Now, there's really 2 types of content you can create. You have written content in the form of blogs, and then you also have video content, typically in the form of YouTube videos. By the way, both are really good, but I recommend for the best and fastest results, I would recommend doing YouTube videos. But if you're open to waiting for results, because blogging can be very slow when it comes to getting results, but if you're open to doing something for the long term, blogging can also be really powerful as well. But as a minimum, I would recommend at least creating YouTube videos. Now, you might be wondering, well, what kind of content do you create and how do you actually generate leads from these YouTube videos and all that kind of stuff? So what I would recommend in order to get the best results is focus on answering questions that your potential clients ask. Now, this is so important. You don't just want to be answering questions or creating content on things that just get views. You want to focus on answering questions that get clients, not views. And there's a very big difference, because sometimes you could have a video that gets a lot of views, but it doesn't generate a lot of clients. And for me, and also a lot of my clients, we would rather have less views, but more clients per video, versus a lot of views in a video and then less clients from that video. So I'm sure for you and your business, it's probably going to be the same thing. You're probably more interested in getting clients instead of views, but it's just something to be aware of, because there are a lot of people that just chase views because they think views is what they need to get clients. Now, don't get me wrong, getting views is helpful, but it's important to make sure those views are quality views with people that are your ideal clients. And sometimes if you go really specific with the questions that you answer, sometimes you just don't get a lot of views on your videos. So for example, this video that you're watching right now is a great example of that. This is a very, very specific video. It's probably not going to get a lot of views, but the people that do watch this video, chances are it's going to be very relevant to people like you that are watching this video. So there's not going to be a lot of people like you watching this video, But for the few that are watching this video, it's likely that if you want us to help you do this, it's likely that you're going to click the link in the description of this video and learn more about how we can implement all of this for you. So you can do the exact same thing for you and your business. Create very specific videos that your potential clients would be potentially looking for answers on, maybe on Google or YouTube or something like that. And then if you create that content and that content is very helpful, you'll be able to generate leads from that content. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that in just a second. But before I go through how to actually generate leads from this content, it's important that you keep in mind that you need to answer questions thoroughly inside of the content. So typically this means that you'll need to create a video that is usually at least 5 minutes long. Now, not all the time, but for a lot of my clients, I've found that the videos that usually work best on YouTube are those that really answer the question thoroughly. So that means they usually have to spend more than 5 minutes. And a lot of the time, sometimes it's even more than 10 minutes on answering a question that someone has thoroughly. And the reason for that is because YouTube looks at how long someone watches your video for. And if you have maybe 1 minute video that answers a question, and then someone watches that 1 minute video, and then they go back and look at another video that is maybe 10 minutes, and then after they watch the 10 minutes video, they stop searching for content around that topic, that's going to tell YouTube that the first 1 minute video didn't really do a good job of answering that question. That's why they watched the second video. So the second video that was longer, the one that they spent more time watching, that's the video YouTube is going to push up in the rankings, because that's the one that answered the person's question more thoroughly. So this is just a very simple example of how it works. YouTube looks at this data, it looks at the watch time, how many people like the video, and a bunch of other things to determine if the video is answering the question thoroughly. But just so you know, the better you answer the question, the more views your video will get with the right kind of people that are going to be your ideal clients. Now, the other thing you want to avoid doing is just creating a video for the sake of creating a video. And this is a big mistake that people make. They just create a really good, helpful video sometimes, but then they don't have a call to action. So that's why the next thing you want to do is you want to always have a call to action in the videos going to the next step of your sales process. So for example, in this video, you'll probably notice that I've said twice already, I've said to click the link in the description if you'd like to learn more about how we can help you. And I'll probably say it again at some point in this video as well, because the key to getting results with YouTube is sending people to the next step in your sales process. So I typically say it wherever it makes sense naturally to say it. I don't always have a plan on when I'm going to say it, but if I think it sounds like a natural place to have that call to action and to say it, then I'm going to say it. So you want to do the same thing in your videos. You want to tell people to go to the next step in your sales process. And that will typically be to either, number one, schedule a call in your calendar to learn more about working with you, or number two, watch a educational video that explains how you can help them. So in my business, I typically use both. I give people the option to either watch a video or to schedule a call, just depending on what exactly they want to learn next. So some people, they will want to have more information first. And then that's why I say you can watch that free masterclass training or watch an educational video that goes through in more detail how it works. And then for other people, they'll be like, no, this is great. I already have all the information I need. I just want to schedule a call. And then for those people, they can just go ahead and schedule a call. So it's good to have both, but as a minimum, you want to at least have the option for them to schedule a call with you in your calendar. But if you can have an option for them to also watch an educational video that explains a bit more about how you can help them, you'll probably get even better results as well. Okay, so at this point, the next logical question is, what kind of funnel or video do you send them to? Like, how do you actually create this system where you send people from the ads and from the video, from the YouTube videos, into a sales funnel that is designed specifically to get appointments? And this is where you can use what I call an automated appointment funnel. So this is a sales funnel that is specifically designed to take strangers, people that have never heard about you before, to people that become a lead. And that's, in other words, they raise their hand and say they're interested in learning more about how you can help them. And then if they like what they hear after becoming a lead, they can then schedule an appointment, and then eventually they become a client as well. So you can do all of that using an automated appointment funnel. So let me go through exactly how this automated appointment funnel works and what it all looks like. Okay, so here is an overview of what the automated appointment funnel looks like. So we start off on the left here with different traffic sources. So specifically for targeting federal employees, I would recommend Meta, which will be Facebook and Instagram ads. And I'd also recommend creating content through YouTube videos. And then what you want to do is you want to send all of that traffic that you're getting into the sales funnel. And the first page of the sales funnel is going to be a page or a landing page called the opt-in page. Now, the opt-in page is a page where you have a big promise that you make. So this promise could, for example, solve a big painful problem that people have, or it could also give them a tangible benefit. And it's usually something educational. So for example, it could be how to save, thousands of dollars in taxes during retirement. It could be how to grow and protect your wealth during retirement. It could be a bunch of different things. But the point is, you want to actually give people something of value, something educational that typically solves a problem that they have. Now, if you do this correctly, if you get the messaging right and you say the right thing, you're going to get people raise their hand and say, yes, I'm interested in learning more. And then they can enter their name and email and go to the next page, which is the video page. Now, the video page or the VSL page, and VSL basically stands for video sales letter. The video sales letter page is a page where you have a video. This is your educational video that goes through how you can help them in more detail. And you want to structure this in the right way, because you don't just want to have a video which doesn't do anything. You want to have a video that gets appointments, right? So with the video, you want to structure it in a way where, number one, you talk about the problem that people have. Number two, you talk about alternative solutions to that problem. And then number three, you talk about why your solution is better than those alternative solutions. And then what happens is, if you go through all of those points in a video and logically explain to someone why working with you is better than other alternative options that are out there, they're going to be motivated to actually want to schedule a call with you. So that's when they can go to the next step, which is typically an application page where you can pre-qualify them further if you wanted to. And then they can go to a schedule page where they can literally schedule a call on your calendar. And then finally, after they schedule a call on your calendar, we send them to a call confirmation page. And the call confirmation page is just a page where you can give them additional information before the call to warm them up even more. So you could send them to, your YouTube channel, or you could send them to your website, or, you could send them somewhere where they can consume more information before the call, so that there's a higher chance that they actually show up, and there's a higher chance that they actually want to work with you when they actually go ahead and have that call with you. Now, there's also a bunch of other things that you can do, such as follow-up emails and retargeting ads. And I'm not going to go into too much detail into how all of that works in this video. This is really just an overview of how it works. But again, if you'd like to learn in more detail about how these pages look and how it all works behind the scenes, then just click the link in the description of this video to watch my free masterclass training. And that will go through literally how all of these pages work step by step and give you some more information if you'd like to learn a little bit more about how all of these steps work in more detail. Now, at this point, you might be wondering, how do you actually set this up? Well, the reality is you do have two options. You don't have to work with us to do this for you. You could go ahead and try to do this yourself, or you could do what a lot of other people do, which is to just essentially buy leads from someone that has already created a system like this. So let me just go through the two options that you have when it comes to setting up some sort of system like this. So like I said, you have two paths that you can follow. The first path is you buy leads, and this will be where you buy leads from another lead provider that has already spent the time and invested the money in creating this system. And I'm going to go through the pros and cons of buying leads in just a second. But before I do that, the other option that I want to make you aware of is that instead of buying leads from another lead provider, you can also generate your own leads. And what this essentially means is that you own the system to generate leads and appointments. So if, for example, you don't want to rely on a third party to give you leads, you can have your own system to give you leads for you and your business. So again, they each have pros and cons. The pro of buying leads is that it's quick and easy. You literally just place an order online and you can start getting leads delivered to your inbox straight away, or, relatively soon. But the cons with buying leads is that it's typically more expensive per lead and per appointment, because you're paying a middle person for that lead. So usually it's going to cost about 10 times more when you buy leads. And also sometimes those leads are shared with other advisors, so you're competing with other advisors for the same lead. The other con is that you have to then chase leads to get an appointment, because these people don't really know who you are. So you get a lead delivered to your inbox. It's typically going to have their name, their email, their phone number, maybe some other information. And then you have to chase that lead to get that appointment. So from what other advisors tell me who have bought leads, they tell me they typically speak to about 1 in 10 leads. So that means if you're paying about $200 per lead, which is usually the average that other clients have told me that's what they're paying for a lead when they buy leads. Typically, if you're paying $200 per lead and you speak to 1 in 10 leads, that means you're essentially paying $2,000 per appointment. And that's if you speak to 1 in 10. If you speak to, 1 in 20, you're going to be paying $4,000 per appointment. So it all depends on, how many leads you actually speak to. But this is just what I've been told from other clients that I've spoken to when they were buying leads in the past. And then the final con with this is that you're not in control of your own marketing system. Someone else is in control. So they can, for whatever reason, if they wanted to, they can increase the prices that you have to pay per lead. They could just stop selling you leads if they want to go exclusive with someone else. So you're essentially relying on someone else to provide you with clients, which is one of the most important things, or one of the most important assets or things to have in your business. So again, there's pros and cons. I'm not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm just making you aware of the pros and cons so that you can make your own decision on what method you think will be best for your business. Now, the other option, like I mentioned, is to generate your own leads. Now, the biggest con with this is that it takes longer to set up this system because this system doesn't already exist. You're setting it up for the first time for you and your business. So it typically takes, for our clients, for example, it takes about 30 days to set this up. So instead of generating leads from day 1, like you would maybe from buying leads, you're probably going to be generating leads from day 31, because it takes 30 days to set it all up. So you do have to wait a little longer. And also there's usually a higher initial investment to set it up. However, in the long term, you actually save a lot more money. You literally save thousands and thousands of dollars because you get the leads at the true cost. You're not paying a middle person every time you generate leads. So sure, you might pay a little bit more in the beginning because you're paying that initial investment to set everything up. But over the months and even over the years, because you're no longer buying leads, you're going to be getting leads at a much lower cost. So instead of paying $200 per lead, you could potentially get leads for $20, which is the true cost of that lead. And instead of paying $2,000 for an appointment, you could essentially get an appointment for just $200, which is why we've literally had clients on our website, on our testimonials page, say that they've made 10 times more profit when it comes to generating their own leads compared to buying leads like they were in the past. The other advantage is that if you use the strategy that we use, the one I've gone through in this video, is that you don't really need to chase leads to get an appointment. The reason for this is because we're not just getting leads to fill in a form online, they're actually watching a video, that video sales letter that explains how you can help them. And if they like what they hear in that video, they will then be motivated to want to schedule a call with you in your calendar. And then the other pro, or one of the biggest pros for a lot of our clients, is that you're also in full control of your own marketing system. So anything you want to do, you can do it. So if you want to increase your ad budget and you want to generate more leads one month, you can do that. If you want to decrease your ad budget another month and maybe you're too busy, which has happened to a lot of our clients, they get too busy so they want to decrease it or sometimes even pause it, you can do that as well. You can do whatever you want. It's your system, so you're in full control of it. And one of the advantages of having your own system is that if we go back to the ROI calculator, if you're generating leads not just through paid ads, but you also create YouTube videos, so let's just say you do both of those together, you'll actually get better results from your paid ads as well. So for example, if we just click on this button here to boost your results with weekly YouTube videos, instead of just getting 5 clients and making $25,000, you could generate 9 clients and then make $45,000 in revenue. So you can actually generate more revenue when you run ads if you're also creating YouTube videos. But the only way you can do this is if you are in control of your own system. So if you want to create your own lead generation system, your own appointment machine that gets appointments for you and your business predictably every single month, what are the next steps? Well, all you need to do is click the link in the description of this video to watch my free masterclass training that goes through how everything works in more detail and how we can help you implement this. We go through how that all works at the end of that video if you want us to help you do this. And you can also schedule a call if you'd like to learn more about how this specifically could work for you and your business. So again, just click the link in the description of this video to watch my free masterclass training, because that goes through how it all works in more detail. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.